Hello, everyone. It's great to be connecting with you today. I am Ebony Birchhanger, a neurosensory interpretation specialist and autistic adult. And today I want to share some insights about an area that I'm very passionate about, seeing the nervous system through a neurosensory lens. Now, our nervous system has one job: to keep us safe and ensure our survival. Multiple times per second, your nervous system is scanning for cues of safety or potential threat. This process is called neuroception. The nervous system scans three places: inside, outside, and in between. In other words, the environment, your own internal cues, and relationships with others and devices. Every behavior we exhibit is a nervous system response, a neurosensory response to the environment we are in. The process of neuroception is entirely subconscious. Anything we think about how we're feeling is the result of those subconscious cues being brought into conscious awareness. But the scanning itself happens without our knowing. I'm going to put some images up on the screen, and I invite you to notice any response you may have to them. You might notice a response from your body, a feeling, or a conscious thought. Now, I can't see you, but you can give me a wave anyway through your screen. Who had the greatest response to the clown? The dark hallway, the hands, the child on the road, or the angry cat? I'm sure there were different people putting up your hands at different times, and that shows you that the physiological state of safety is subjective. If it weren't, all of you would have responded in the same way to the same images. What this means is that you may have a child in front of you who is displaying behaviors that indicate their nervous system is not feeling safe. You may not be able to identify anything triggering in the situation. Your nervous system may feel safe, but it doesn't mean that the child's nervous system does. Now, I'm going to show you some more images. How many of you just braced a little then? Give me a wave. Maybe you felt some tension in your body, or you were concerned about what you might see next. Maybe you were excited. Whatever your response, I'm not actually going to show you any more images, but I did that to demonstrate that whatever your response was, your nervous system operates on a predictive model. Your nervous system just responded based on what happened last time I said those words. So this means you may have a child or an adult in front of you whose dysregulation is due to their nervous system's prediction about what is going to happen in the current situation based on a past similar experience. So I'd like you now to come on a sliding doors journey with me through two scenarios. If it feels safe for you, I invite you to close your eyes so you can immerse yourself in this scene. If at any time you need to open your eyes, please do so. Imagine that you are at school. You have just been outside during lunch and had a disagreement with one of the kids from your class. You get very overwhelmed. You're crying. Your body is shaking. You are visibly distressed. The bell goes and you make your way to the lining up spot. You stand at the back of the line, very still, no longer crying, but shoulders hunched and head down. The yard duty teacher tells your class teacher what happened. You overhear your class teacher say, "They look calm enough now. I'll just keep an eye on them." You walk into class and the bright lights hit you straight away. You feel pain on both sides of your head. The room is noisy as students move into groups for their maths project. Your group sits right next to the group with the child you had the disagreement with. You can feel them staring at you, even though you're not looking at them. You can't think properly. Your teacher comes over and asks, "Are you okay now?" You're almost frozen and can't get any words out. Even though you're not okay, you nod your head, knowing a response is expected. Your teacher replies, "That's great. Just let me know if you need anything," and walks away. I invite you all to return now back to me here in this space. And if it feels safe for you, check in with yourself. Notice any response in your body or any conscious thoughts. If you feel nothing, that's also perfectly okay. If you notice you are a little uncomfortable right now, I ask, if you can, for you to trust me and come on another journey with me, knowing that you'll be able to release some or all of what you're experiencing. This is our sliding doors moment. Let's replay that scenario. And I invite you to join in that I describe throughout this second scenario. Imagine that you are at school. You've had a disagreement with a child from your class outside during lunch. You're very overwhelmed. You're crying. Your body is shaking. You're visibly distressed. The bell goes and you make your way to your lining up spot. You stand at the back of the line, very still, no longer crying, but shoulders hunched and head looking down. The yard duty teacher tells your teacher what happened. You overhear your class teacher say, "Thanks for letting me know." Out of the corner of your eye, you see your class teacher walk into the room. She turns off the lights, picks up 2 items from her desk and comes back out. She asks the class to go inside and slowly approaches you with your one real friend. Your teacher hands you communication cards that you often use in class. Instantly, you feel understood. You know there's no pressure to speak, but if you want to communicate, you have a safe option. She hands you a folder and asks you and your friend to take it to the office. She suggests that you could skip, and I invite you to try that now, or jog, or walk in curved lines to get there and back. When you return, an instruction is written on the board for whisper voices. You smile to yourself. You then notice the class is working on their math project. You know the child you had a disagreement with usually sits next to your group. You think, "I don't want to do this." Your teacher is already beside you. She notices your body is tense and you're flicking your fingernails. She asks, "In for 3, out for 6?" prompting you to do long exhale breathing. You nod, giving your consent, and I invite you to do this. You breathe deep into your belly, in, 2, 3, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, she says, you breathe in and out. You instantly again. Your teacher points out that the other group has been moved somewhere else in the room. She says to the class, "I think it's time for shoulder squeezes or hand pushes," and starts doing them with everyone. And I invite you to join me now. You join in too. She asks, "Would you like to go to your group?" You nod and you walk to your group while doing whichever compressions feel best for you. By the time you sit down with your group, you feel good in your body. You feel safe in the space and you happily begin working on the project. I invite you all now to come back to me during this presentation. And by a show of hands, even though I can't see you, you can wave at me. How many of you are noticing less tension in your bodies or are feeling more relaxed, connected, or safe? Thank you for trusting me on that journey. This sliding door scenario demonstrates the importance of understanding the nervous system. The first teacher wasn't a bad teacher. They weren't unkind, but they weren't nervous system literate. They didn't recognize that what looked like calm was actually the beginning of a shutdown. They didn't know where the nervous system gains cues of safety from, so they didn't offer you any support or make any environmental adjustments. They also didn't prompt you through any regulation activities, nor did they recognize that your nod was a survival response rather than genuine regulation. The second teacher was nervous system literate. They understood that the nervous system is constantly scanning. They recognized your changing nervous system states, adjusted the environment and your proximity to others. They used relationships as cues of safety and provided communication supports. They knew when your body needed movement and extra proprioceptive input through the compressions. And they knew that long exhales are one of the fastest ways to activate a calming state. Most importantly, they understood that dysregulation isn't bad. It's the signal. Without all of that knowledge, the second teacher would have responded exactly as the first teacher had. The teacher who wasn't unkind, wasn't a bad teacher, but was not nervous system literate. Now imagine if all teachers were nervous system literate, and if we, as children, had also had an understanding of what was happening in our own bodies and nervous system. Most of us brush our teeth, shower, and eat to keep our bodies healthy. Yet the large majority of people do nothing to support their nervous system, even though it is responsible for all of the functions that keep us alive: breathing, heart rate, digestion. Why? Because we weren't taught to as children. Imagine if every person woke up and regulated their nervous system before leaving their bedroom and went to bed doing the same. I guarantee the world would be a very different place. Imagine what that could mean for your child, students, client, or even for yourself. I said earlier that dysregulation isn't bad. It's the signal. You will never hear me advocating for stopping a child's dysregulation for our own benefit, because it's the message, it's the information we actually need to support them, so we don't want to suppress that. But dysregulation often doesn't feel good. So when I talk about individuals learning how to regulate their nervous system, it's not about suppressing the message. It's about minimizing distress while still listening to what the nervous system is communicating, and learning that sometimes sitting in dysregulation before jumping into regulation activities is actually what's needed. Autistic individuals are already working so hard to live in a world that isn't designed for us, so our nervous systems can get stuck in survival states more easily. However, and I want to be very clear about this, the nervous system states of autistic individuals are not broken. They are not misfiring, and they are not overreacting. They are doing exactly what they were designed to do and doing it extremely well. Now, I don't say this because I'm autistic. I say this because I understand how the nervous system works, and it's literally a fact. What if, while acknowledging that and being grateful for it, we could also increase nervous system capacity so that engaging in a world not designed for us becomes a little easier as our best regulated, authentic version of ourselves? When I advocate for nervous system literacy and regulation, this is why. Because while the world is designed the way it is and the societal demands that exist remain, autistic individuals will continue to experience dysregulation. There is a mismatch between our needs and the environments that we're in. Increasing nervous system capacity does not mean that we stop honouring fluctuating capacity or putting supports in place. What it does mean is that children and young people can grow up with a better understanding of how their nervous system works and a greater ability to support themselves when they need it. And if that makes life easier for them, while also helping parents, educators, and clinicians to better support them, I only see that as a good thing. If we had applied what we knew about the nervous system decades ago, we would have a completely different world now. And a lot of autistic individuals would have had completely different educational experiences. Because the work most people now associate with modern nervous system understanding through Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory was actually introduced more than 3 decades ago. Yet we are now only just seeing it enter mainstream conversations. And that's only the newest form of research. The basic science of the nervous system dates back much further than that. We cannot separate the nervous system from teaching and learning, because we cannot separate a child from their nervous system. Every child has brought their nervous system to school since the beginning of education. It isn't a fad. It's literally how we function, yet it's never been addressed. The nervous system is as fundamental to children's education as letter sound knowledge and basic number facts. It is as fundamental to home life as having basic needs for food, shelter, and clothing met. Children can't learn to read without letter sound knowledge. They can't complete mathematical equations without basic number facts. And they cannot in clinical or home settings without understanding how their own nervous system works and having adults who understand it. My dream or vision is for every teacher to leave university and enter the field as a nervous system literate educator. For every education support staff member, wellbeing officer, school counsellor, assistant principal, to be nervous system informed. For every parent to have easy access to nervous system education. For nervous system literacy to become part of the curriculum in every school. And for nervous system regulation to be a standard part of every school day in every setting from childcare right through to university. Not only would this change the lives of every child, but also the well-being of education staff, parents, and carers. It's taken more than 30 years for the most recent research that put nervous system function into language that's easier to understand to reach mainstream conversations. Let's not wait any longer to translate it into practice. Thank you to the 1 in 31 Connection Autism Summit for having me to share these insights with you today. And I would love for you to connect with me online and stay in contact.
On September 2008, I went to pick up a paycheck. The boss called me into the office. I knew something wasn't right. Usually, when I have that feeling of, oh no, here we go again, what did I do wrong this time? I'm usually right. This time the boss let me go. I was going to learn and find out why I did wrong, so I asked him why I lost this job. He had the audacity to tell me not to tell me anything. I was so mad and angry at him because he let me go without telling me why. I wanted to do mixed martial arts on him. After I left the building, I remember talking to my family and friends why I lost the job. It had been the 5th job I had lost in a year. I needed something to get my mind off of losing jobs. So I thought about smoking pot. But there was one problem to smoking pot. I didn't know where to get it from because I grew up sheltered and I was taught that drugs are bad for you. So I had to find out afterwards, in reality, do I have autism? I needed to confront that within myself. I needed to find out if it was true. The therapist at the time provided me to the government agency, and they provided me to the clinical psychologist to test me on a bunch of questions for hours on end if I was on the autism spectrum. It turned out in the fall of 2008 that I was on the autism spectrum. Now, to many people, it's either a kick in the gut or they're relieved. I'm just glad I had an answer. It couldn't get any worse. I lost 5 jobs, repossessed a car, and didn't get my dream job with ESPN. So, welcome to autism. Now what? What are you going to do? Are you going to whine about it? Are you going to have people feel sorry for you? Or are you going to rise to the situation? I chose to rise to the situation. I had goals in mind. I had dreams and aspirations. I still wanted to get to where I wanted to be in life. I wanted to prove to people that people with autism can be successful. So I developed a game plan and some ideas on what to do while receiving an autism diagnosis. First, find successful people in the autism community. For me at that time, that was finding people who had been successful with autism. When I got diagnosed at the time, I felt like I was the only person that was diagnosed. And I felt lonely. I needed the people that would understand me. So one of the ideas I developed was a support group to start out with. When I started my journey with a support group, there was an organization, and I tried to get in touch with this lady. This lady, I would call her during the spring of 2009, and she would tell me to call back in 6 weeks. So I would count 6 weeks on my calendar. 6 weeks go by, I'd call her again. She would say, call me in 6 weeks. She'd tell me and say, call me in the summer. I would call her in the summer. And then when summer rolled around, she said, come meet me in the office. I was like, okay. I met her in the office. And then from there, she introduced me to a conference of autism. And that's how I learned how to find people who have been successful in the autism community. And that's how I learned how to network and get my first speaking opportunity through this person. While trying to find successful people, you need to be a student of the condition. By being a student of the condition, you are reading books about it. You are listening to YouTube clips. You are asking questions. You are meeting other people who are on the autism spectrum. You are learning about what's going on in our country related to autism on a political level, on an academic level. The more I got to learn about it, the more I became an advocate for the situation. And as I grew into that, I started setting goals for myself. I started setting goals for myself as a public speaker, as somebody trying to support myself, and also as a side hustle being a referee. Goal setting is something we need to be doing every day. Whether you're 5, 25, or 55 years old that just got diagnosed, goal setting is something we need to be doing. Short, mid, long term. Controllable, attainable, measurable. 1 year, 5 year, 10-year goals. This helps you see the progress made being overall. Last of all, be the CEO of yourself. What does that mean to be the CEO of yourself? The CEO of yourself means you decide who you bring into your life. You have the board of directors with you that you decide and who will challenge you, who will push you, who will give you constructive feedback and love on you while at the same time. Remember, you are the average of the 5 most people you hang out with. So choose wisely and who will help you become the person you are as an advocate in the autism field. These ideas of finding successful people in the autism community, setting goals, being a student of the condition, and being the CEO of yourself will help you be a successful person with autism in this world. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Bye.
Hello, I'm Kelvin Smith, autistic, PhD, senior data scientist, astute bridge player, tutor, former Jeopardy contestant, and an autism academic coach. I live a pretty simple life. I enjoy reading almanacs, textbooks, encyclopedias, trivia books, and I love to dabble in games of all kinds, from card games to board games to video games. And I love to watch game shows from time to time. I know what it feels like to want to do well, to work hard, and still feel like you're still fighting to figure things out in a world that doesn't always explain itself clearly to you. My journey on the autism spectrum has included both struggles and victories. There were times when I felt misunderstood, overwhelmed, or unsure of how to proceed. But there were also moments of growth, resilience, and purpose that helped me understand that my difference isn't my downfall. It's part of my story. When I think about my journey on the autism spectrum, I don't think only about the hard parts, though they are real. I think about what it means to keep going when the world doesn't always understand you. I think about what it means to be smart, capable, full of potential, yet still needing support to thrive. I think about what it means to carry both struggle and strength at the same time. There were times in my life when I felt like I had to work twice as hard just to be understood. Times when the expectations around me felt confusing. Times when I've looked like I was doing fine on the outside, but on the inside, I was struggling to keep it all together. If you've ever felt that way, I want to let you know something. You're not alone. You're not the only one trying to find your way. My autism journey has taught me that success doesn't always come from just pushing harder. Sometimes it just comes from being supported better. Sometimes it comes from someone taking the time to explain, to guide, to listen, and to believe. And that belief is part of what led me to create my academic booster sessions for first-year college students. One of the biggest things I've learned is this. Many autistic students are not failing because they're not capable. They're struggling because college can be overwhelming, especially in that first year. There are hidden expectations, shifting routines, and a lot of pressure to keep up. That could be a lot for any student, let alone one who processes the world differently. In my booster sessions, I try to give students something concrete that they can hold on to, a plan, a strategy, a way of communication, a way to organize what's scattered, a way to breathe when everything feels big. Because I believe that when autistic students are given tools that fit them, they could do more than just survive. They grow, they lead, and they can succeed with confidence. That's why I care so deeply about supporting first-year college students, especially autistic students who are trying to make that very important transition. These sessions are designed to help students start strong, stay organized, and build confidence. We talk about real-life things such as self-advocacy, planning, executive functioning, time management, communication, and how to get through that first year without feeling like you have to do it all alone. I want students to know that it is okay to ask for help. It is okay to need structure, and it is okay to learn in a way that works for them. What I love most about these sessions is that it's not about telling students who they should be. It's about helping them discover what works for them. It's about honoring how they learn, how they process, how they succeed. That part matters deeply because too often autistic students were just told to just push through, mask harder, or just simply try more. I believe autistic students deserve more than that. They deserve better than that. They deserve clarity. They deserve patience. They deserve support that helps. My own journey has taught me that success isn't always about doing everything alone. Sometimes success is about receiving the right supports at the right time, at the right moment. Sometimes it's about that one person saying, I see you, I believe in you, and I'll help you take that next step. That is the heart of my message today. To the autism community out there, I want to say this: you belong here. You matter. Your way of thinking matters. It has value. Your voice matters. And your future is worth investing in. Being autistic doesn't make you less. It doesn't erase your intelligence, your gifts, your dreams, your dignity. It just simply means you walk a different path. You walk at a different pace. You need a different kind of support. And that's okay. If you're a student, keep going. If you're a parent, keep encouraging. And if you're an educator, keep learning how to support with compassion and intention. If you are a student preparing for college, whether it be a 4-year college or a 2-year college, or you're a parent walking beside your child, or you're an educator wanting to do better, I invite you to connect with me, to learn from me, and to use these tools to help someone move forward with confidence. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for believing in autistic students. And thank you for being part of a community that keeps pushing for understanding, clarity, and success. My hope is that every autistic person hears this message and feels a little bit more seen, a little bit steadier, and a little more hopeful. Because when we are supported well, we don't just get through, we rise. If you'd like to connect with me, please see the links and notes that go along with this video. Thank you.